Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Non-Scripted Ramblings. I'm Kendall Richardson. Thank you for joining me. Today I am very excited because we are going to be discussing the final film of the prequel trilogy, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And I am so pleased to say that I actually think this might be the best film in the prequel trilogy. Not that that's hard, but after watching Phantom Menace a couple of weeks ago, I was like, no, this is actually a lot better than I remember last time I watched it. So I was not expecting to be, have that bar. That was going to be the bar that the other two movies were going to have to hit. And Attack of the Clones, as you know, if you've been watching, did not hit that bar for me at all. Enjoyable, of course, but, not what I wanted it to be. However, Revenge of the Sith is a different beast altogether, and I loved it. It's not as good as anything in the original trilogy for me, but it is a very good film, and I think it kind of deserves a bit more love than some of the hate that it gets, I mean, I think it probably gets the least amount of hate out of all the films in the prequel trilogy, because, most people tend to bring up things that happen in Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones as being a bit not great, but this is actually just really good. So for those who haven't watched Revenge of the Sith for a while, or aren't doing a big catch-up, don't have time to watch the prequels, etc., I'm going to try and do a little brief recap of the story to bring you up to speed. So basically the movie starts with the Clone Wars are raging. It's been 3 years since the end of Attack of the Clones, and Chancellor Palpatine has been kidnapped by Count Dooku and new villain General Grievous, and Anakin and Obi-Wan have been tasked by the Jedi to rescue him. Anakin and Obi-Wan, of course, succeed in a really awesome sequence, and Dooku is killed. Anakin kills Dooku by Palpatine's command, with Obi-Wan unconscious, even though Anakin does not believe it's the Jedi way. He did what Palpatine said, regardless. So then from there we learn that Padme is pregnant. Of course we know with who. And but from then things just get worse, because Anakin starts having visions of Padme dying, similar to the visions he was having of his mother dying in Attack of the Clones. So he's completely distraught with that. Meanwhile, the Jedi Council, they need to find General Grievous, because everyone believes that if Grievous, who is the new head of the Separatist movement, can be defeated, can be killed, then the war can end, essentially. So the Jedi end up finding out that Grievous is on this planet called Utapau, and they send Obi-Wan there, which kind of annoys Anakin because he thinks he should go. And then, of course, Palpatine decides to meddle in Jedi affairs, and he appoints Anakin as his kind of advisor on the council, I suppose, his representative on the Jedi Council, which is not really something that's done before, and Mace Windu and Yoda and the rest don't really seem too fond of this idea. They let Anakin join the council, but they do not grant him the role of master, which really pisses Anakin off. Like, really, he gets very upset. Nevertheless, while Anakin's on the council, the Jedi then ask him to spy on Palpatine, because the two of them are so close, and he's basically serving as his bodyguard as well during this time. So yeah, and Anakin doesn't like that either, so he's really starting to distrust the Jedi in this, and Palpatine's just basically giving him everything he wants to hear, which then follows with an excellent conversation. It's one of the best scenes in the film, where Palpatine tells Anakin the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise, who was a Sith Lord who could manipulate the midichlorians to create life or prevent death, essentially. So this obviously tempts Anakin to the ways of the Sith. Even though he's still very firmly a Jedi, he does not want Padme to die. So even when he learns Palpatine is a Sith, is the Sith, Darth Sidious, that they've been searching for all these years, he chooses to save Padme and lets, he kills Mace Windu, because once the Jedi find out that Palpatine is actually Darth Sidious, Mace Windu and a group of Jedi storm his chambers and attack him, trying to bring him to justice, or kill him, essentially, and Anakin can't let Padme die, so he kills Mace Windu. And it sucks. And then he basically becomes a Sith Lord from there and descends into the dark side, and Palpatine assumes the role as Emperor with the Republic. Basically, by the time the film's done, the Republic is no more and the Galactic Empire rises up from the ashes. Order 66 is executed by the Emperor, and all of the clones turn on all the Jedi, and the Jedi are massacred across the galaxy in a really heartbreaking scene, including the now Lord Vader, no longer Anakin Skywalker, heads to the Jedi Temple and kills younglings. He then heads to Mustafar, where the other separatist leaders are awaiting instructions from Sidious, and Sidious tells them that Vader's gonna come, and then Vader just rocks up and kills them all. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan manages to not only kill General Grievous himself in a badass scene on Utapau, he then gets attacked, of course, by his clone troopers, and thankfully survives and makes it back to Coruscant and finds out everything that happened, and then he tracks down, he follows Padme, because Padme wants to be wherever Anakin is in this horrible tragedy. And Padme won't reveal where he is, so he, sneaks aboard her ship and they fly to Mustafar, and, Padme they both try to save him, but I think Obi-Wan knows better, and then there's a big epic fight, and things don't go very well, and Yoda and Palpatine are fighting at the same time that Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting, and it's just, the music is great, the action sequences are fantastic, it's so emotional and powerful. Obi-Wan nearly kills Anakin, leaves him basically a very burnt man, almost a corpse, he's almost dead, with no legs. And then after the Emperor basically doesn't defeat Yoda, but essentially does. Yoda can't defeat the Emperor, so he retreats, and then the Emperor flies to Mustafar to rescue Vader, and then he basically gives him his suit from then on, and Vader is born. Padme dies, losing the will to live, because her love has turned to the dark side, and the very thing he turned to the dark side to stop happens because he turned to the dark side. And Luke and Leia are brought into the world, and Luke goes to Tatooine, of course, and Leia goes to Alderaan, to keep them separate, to keep them out of harm's way and unbeknownst to Lord Vader and the Sith. So, and that's where the movie ends. I hope that was a good recap. But there's a lot going on. But I absolutely adore this movie. Yeah, it just, I don't know, there's something about it. It moves really nicely, it's paced very well. And you're fully invested in these characters, of course, by the third film. I mean, you'd want to be. So it is, I was brought to tears by the end, because it's so sad you're watching Padme's funeral, basically, around the same time that Vader finds out that Padme's dead, and it's just, it's so tragic, this love story that, yeah, it wasn't really written the best, but, like in Attack of the Clones, but, I still wanted them to be together, and it's so frustrating. Even watching this movie, this is why this movie is actually really good, and I will commend George Lucas for this. Even though you know where it's going and what the outcome is going to be, you still find yourself thinking of ways like, oh god, what if they'd done this? What if they'd done this? What if they changed this? You know, surely if they go down this path instead, then things, you know, they don't have to end badly. They can end happily. Like, surely we can find a way. Like, I was just hoping, even though I knew where it was going to end, I was hoping that that Anakin was going to, you know, not turn to the dark side, and that Padme was not going to die, and it's all very, very, very sad. But oh gosh, I don't even know where to begin with anything else. It's very emotional. But I guess maybe I'll just start with the performances. I want to firstly just give a big props to Hayden Christensen for his performance in this film. 10 times better than in Attack of the Clones. And I don't know if that's because he aged a couple of years between filming. I don't know. Maybe, you know, age brings wisdom, experience, extra training. I have no idea. But then again, I did also say last video that maybe it was George Lucas's direction of actors and maybe his script that kind of came into his performance, and, you know, he did the best that he could do with it. So perhaps the script this time around was just a bit stronger. I don't know. I think that's definitely true, though. The script was definitely stronger, you know, because there was a lot less of George Lucas writing dialogue scenes and writing romantic scenes and love scenes and all of that, like from the previous film. The entire film is very much a plot-focused driven, so Lucas knew exactly where he was taking these characters from the start, and he knew, like, there was no beating around the bush at any point. Everything's direct, and Hayden Christensen did such a good job really depicting, I just love the way he portrays Anakin in this film. You know, you can tell he's still the same boy / man he was in the previous movie, but he's grown a little bit wiser. You can sense that he's aged and see that he's aged, obviously, but I don't know, there's just something about him that's just more mature, more sure of himself, more confident, and his, you know, every time that he kind of complains, you know, there's a lot of times you're on his side. You're kind of like, well, this is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. I mean, yeah, he's kind of taking it a bit too far by bemoaning all of his, you know, everything that bad that happened, everything that doesn't go his way, basically. Especially mostly just the stuff with the Jedi Council. But you know, I still think it's really, really well done, and seeing him go from the hero to the villain is masterful. You know, he doesn't really have too much dialogue once he turns to Vader. It's just a lot of brooding and evil glances and obviously, you know, lightsaber duels. But the scenes where he does speak, you can see in his eyes just the corruption, how he's been seduced, how he's been turned, like, and then the way he speaks and the things he says. He's not the same person anymore. Like, he has completely changed, and I just really adore the way Hayden Christensen performs this. It's very well done. Natalie Portman as well improved in this film. Again, I think she maybe had slightly less to do in this one than the previous film, but I enjoyed every scene except maybe one. There's one scene in this movie that had, well, okay, there's a couple of little things. There's a couple little things that irritated me. The only things that irritated me in this movie. One of them is the scene on the balcony in Coruscant earlier in the film when Anakin's like, yeah, you're so beautiful, and she's like, oh, it's only because I'm so in love, and he's like, no, it's because I'm so in love with you. And she's like, so love has blinded you? And he's like, that's not what I meant. And then she says, but it's probably true. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't like the way that scene goes. It's just not, I don't know. It's nice, and I really like I really do like Hayden Christensen in that scene, the way he's like just gazing at her lovingly, like it's really sweet and it's very romantic and all of that, so that's nice. But I just, some of the dialogue I just don't, I'm just like, surely you could have come up with something better, George, but hey, it's whatever. That's the only scene with problematic dialogue. The other big scene that I have a big issue with, and this is nothing against Natalie Portman at all, because again, her performance in this film is very strong. And this has been a problem I've had with Revenge of the Sith, and it's probably why my memory of the film was tarnished overall because of this one scene, because this is one of the scenes that happens at the end of the film where Padme dies, right? She, gives birth to the twins before she passes, and without barely any hesitation, as soon as she lays eyes on the children, she just names them breathlessly, like Luke, Leia, straight away, like that's like I don't like it. It's just so cheesy and like and rushed, and they could have, I don't know. Like, couldn't you have put a scene in the movie somewhere? Like, maybe, I'm sure there's probably a deleted scene or something that got left on the cutting room floor that was like, wouldn't you just put a scene of Padme and Anakin, maybe the balcony scene. There you go, balcony scene. Instead of that weird, love has blinded you dialogue, how about we have a cute discussion about the names of but then again, they didn't know they were going to have twins, but then by the same token, you could just go, if it's a boy, it's Luke, if it's a girl, it's Leia. I think, yes, that might still be a little bit cheesy, but that would be a lot less cheesy than the rushed shit show we got right at the end. I hate it. I've never liked it. However, now having rewatched the film, in 2019, it doesn't ruin the film for me at all, and I will remember that from now on, to not get so upset with this stupid scene where she dies. It sucks. I just hate it. I don't like it. No. But that's all the bad stuff I have to say about this movie. Ewan McGregor, again, Obi-Wan Kenobi brings it. MVP of the film. He is just perfection in every single scene he's in. His performance was top-notch. The best performance of the 3 films is in this film from Ewan McGregor, hands down. I just love the way he embodies Sir Alec Guinness to a T, and it's not an impression. It's he is Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's just, I'm so excited they're making a series with him. Like it's so good. I just love it. And of course the end battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan is so sad, and Obi-Wan really, Ewan McGregor, the way he delivers his dialogue, you were the chosen one. You were supposed to, bring balance, all that, not leave it in darkness, all, everything, I trusted you, you were my brother, I loved you, all this, the way he says all, it breaks your heart, and you feel for him so much, and I just love it through and through. It's especially because he's delivering these lines while Anakin is basically crawling towards him, and then he screams, "I hate you" at him. It's just, it just gives me feels, completely. But I adore Ewan McGregor, so I cannot wait to see more Obi-Wan Kenobi from him. Another outstanding player in this film would have to be Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine / Sidious / the Emperor. So good to see his transformation as well, fully into the Emperor. Because he was Palpatine, Darth Sidious, but with the formation of the Empire, of course, he took on the moniker of the Emperor, and that's where that comes from. But the way he masterfully manipulates Anakin to right exactly where he wants him is just so clever, so sneaky, and he just takes full advantage of Anakin's weaknesses. He exploits them. His anger, his quick to temper, his, frustration, his passion, the fact that he loves. He takes advantage of the fact that he loves, and he uses that to bring him to the dark side and to bring the Empire into being. It's incredibly done, incredibly well done. And that's the one thing I just wish the Jedi had have noticed, because, you know, they're always going on about how, you know, anger and hate and fear lead to the dark side, right? Well, you're getting all of these scenes with Anakin being angry and upset and frustrated, and he does seem to be acting out of character for a Jedi Knight. I mean, yes, he's still a Padawan at this stage, but I think he's basically a Jedi by the time the movie, well, before he turns, I think. I'm not 100% sure, so don't at me on that. But why didn't the Jedi step in and try and, you know, because every time the Jedi, you know, say no to Anakin or send Obi-Wan away on a mission and Anakin's all broody about it, he turns to Palpatine, and Palpatine tells him what he wants to hear, tells him exactly what he wants to hear. And, you know, and it's... I mean, no wonder he turned to the dark side. He knew exactly where to hit him and how. Like, and just the Jedi, just for all of their power and all of their knowledge and all of their wisdom, they could not see, for some reason, this coming about, Anakin becoming Vader, like, or being susceptible, you know. Clearly I feel like someone should have been keeping a better eye on him or giving him better support, because Palpatine gives him support constantly. Reassurance. The Jedi don't really do that at all. Like, there's only one scene, and apart from Obi-Wan, of course, there's only one scene in the film where I think the Jedi even kind of not start to notice, but sort of start to sympathize, or just, I don't know, they try to get Anakin on side right near the end, right before Mace Windu goes to face Palpatine. Anakin does the right thing, because he's still good. He tells Mace Windu that Palpatine is Darth Sidious, and then Mace Windu, you know, tells Anakin to wait in the Jedi Council temple to, you know, until all this is over, and we'll take care of it, and you stay here, and we don't want you getting involved, you're too close to him, blah, 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 all that stuff. And that's fine, that makes sense, but they needed to do more. And I know we had to get to a place where Anakin would turn into Vader, but I don't know, I just find it strange that the Jedi didn't try and do more to get him on side, especially because they would have been able to sense the distrust, the displeasement. Like, why did they? I don't understand. But regardless, Palpatine, Ian McDiarmid's performance is excellent, and getting to see him fight with a lightsaber for the first time was also very cool. The battle with him and Yoda, the Emperor versus Yoda in the Senate chamber, is epic and awesome. The Duel of the Fates score returns throughout this entire sequence, and with the fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan. Like, the music is just amazing. John Williams again nails it. Didn't get an Oscar nomination. Don't understand why, but whatever. The film received one Oscar nomination for makeup effects. Didn't win. And didn't get nominated for visual effects at all, despite the fact that this movie had 2,200 visual effects shots, which is more than episode 1 and 2 combined. And you know what? The visual effects in this film, for the most part, still hold up, but there are a few scenes where green screen is noticeable, or where certain creatures are heavily, like, they're just heavily obvious. They don't blend very well. But for the most part, like, all the space battle scene, like the opening scene of the film with with them fighting in space and everything, I love. It's awesome, and it looks really good to this day, and it's been nearly 15 years, so it's very impressive. What else can I talk about? We get to see a bit more of Bail Organa in this film, played by the excellent Jimmy Smits, and we also get to see the I think it's the Tantive 4, I think that's the name of his ship, the ship that's in A New Hope, that opens Star Wars, that opens the movie, is in this film, his ship. And I also read that was the only, like, practical set essentially created, which makes sense because they needed it to look exactly like it did back in A New Hope. So I thought that was really awesome. What else? We get to go to Kashyyyk for the first time in the whole saga, and we meet a younger Chewbacca who's one of, you know, the higher-ups in the Wookiee army, assisting Yoda and everything. The battles there are really awesome, really, really cool to see Chewie's homeworld. In fact, there was actually going to be a scene where we were going to meet a 10-year-old Han Solo that was going to help Obi-Wan with transmitting messages and stuff across to the Jedi from Utapau, I think. But that got scrapped in the end, so which makes sense now. I mean, it would have been, obviously Solo, a Star Wars story, would have had to have been very different if they'd kept this continuity, but, you know, but that's fine. That would have been really cool. Another really cool thing, let's see, so Qui Gon Jinn obviously is mentioned right at the end of the film. Yoda talks to Obi-Wan and says that, you know, he's been communicating with Qui Gon. He's learnt how to become immortal, essentially, living in the Force and all of that jazz, Force ghost stuff. And so Yoda says while Obi-Wan's on Tatooine, Yoda's going to teach him how to communicate with Obi-Wan. Yeah, Yoda's going to teach Obi-Wan how to communicate with Qui-Gon. Yes, right. And apparently Liam Neeson also filmed some scenes for Revenge of the Sith that didn't make the final cut, to do with all of that, so that would have been really cool to see, but it was not meant to be. Speaking of final cuts, the first final cut of this film ran at 4 hours long. That's a long movie. I love Star Wars. I don't know if I would want a 4-hour Star Wars movie written and directed by George Lucas. As bad as that sounds. This movie runs at 2 hours and 15 minutes. Perfect runtime for this story. And none of it feels rushed, except for just the Luke and Leia bit right at the end. That's all I've got to say about that. Yeah, I really like the shot of Vader when his mask's put on, like that. He's lying down, and it's that profile shot, and then the mask's put on, and then it just pauses for a beat, and then he takes his first breath as, you know, fully in the suit as Vader, and it's very chilling. All you can hear, there's no music, no other sounds, just the breathing. It's really powerful. I also hate the no thing, that they had James L. Jones cry out no after Vader learns that Padme is dead. Not great. It could have been something else. It didn't have to, I don't know. I mean, it's fine. I'm willing to whistle past it, I guess, at this point. But yeah, is what it is. I don't know. That whole last sequence, the way it's shot and just in general is just done really well, because, you know, we've got Padme dying as Vader is rising. You know, they're trying to the droids are trying to save Padme and save the twins. At the same time, the droids are also working on Anakin and trying to save him. But Padme dies and Anakin, Vader lives. It's just a lovely little kind of juxtaposition there. It's really, really nice. God. Yeah, I don't know about losing the will to live either. I mean, I'm kind of okay with it, I guess. I mean, but I know, I kind of like to think that when he force choked her, that kind of led to her death, not her being, killed from having just a broken heart. I mean, that's romantic and sweet and suits the operatic nature of Star Wars, but yeah, I don't know. I don't entirely buy it. I'm neither here nor there about it, I suppose. What else could I... Well, that was one thing I was going to say about the Jedi and not kind of picking up on Anakin being not good. They all kind of believed, or at least Obi-Wan, that Anakin was the chosen one. So does this mean their belief that he would restore balance to the Force clouded their judgment and prevented them from fully seeing whether or not that he was going to turn to the dark side. I don't know, or prevented them from seeing that he was going down a dark path at least and not able to bring him back. Like, yeah, maybe that had something to do with it. Yeah, and he's wearing dark robes in this film too, which a lot of people just see as over-the-top foreshadowing, but I kind of read a thing online that said it was sort of a nod to Luke wearing, the fact that Luke wears dark robes, black robes even, in Return of the Jedi. So I think that's just, they're just kind of making that connection because it's the third film, etc. Makes sense. What other... Oh yeah, even Anakin acknowledges he's conflicted. No, but like... you know, yeah, and nothing's really done about it, but oh well. I don't know. I think that's kind of it. Oh yeah, Tarkin's in this movie. That's another cool thing I want to mention. Governor Tarkin, Moff Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin, is in this movie for one scene. He doesn't have any dialogue or anything, but he's literally right at the end, and you see him on the, you know, the deck of the ship next to Vader and the Emperor, and then he walks away. He's actually played by an Australian actor named Wayne Pigram, who, for fans of Farscape will recognise, was actually the actor who played Scorpius in the series Farscape. And I didn't know that, and when I read that I was like, that's freaking awesome. It makes sense. But they basically made up his face a little bit to look a bit more gaunt, like Tarkin, and yeah, they pulled it off. He looks a lot like him, you know, which is, yeah, it's really, really awesome. So there's another fun fact for you. Another cool thing, Mustafar actually means, comes from the word Mustafa in Arabic. I'm probably saying that wrong, which means chosen one. So it's just gorgeous, poetic, the fact that the man they believe to be the chosen one, you know, would fall like that on Mustafar. Yeah, I don't know, I just love the symbolism there and what that represents. What else can I even mention? I think that's kind of it. And then there's, I don't know, there's a nice parallel with the twin sunsets right at the end of the film with Owen and Beru holding baby Luke and staring off into the twin sunsets, just as Luke does in A New Hope. It's really nice. The music's going in the background. It's really, really good, really powerful. There's also a really lovely scene too, another highlight of Anakin and Padme's relationship, where the two of them are, I think they're kind of worrying for each other or longing for each other, thinking of each other, and Anakin's at the Jedi temple looking out the window, staring, you know, to her chambers from, you know, miles away, and then she's doing the same back, and it's just, I don't know, it's just the back and forth shots. They're just, I think it's really effective. Really, really nice. I think that's pretty much all I'm going to say. I've gone over half an hour, so sorry about that. But I had a lot to say about this film. I really, really enjoy it. Definitely do yourselves a favour and watch it, just because I wish I'd kind of been a bit older. I mean, I was in high school when this movie came out, but like I wish I'd kind of been a bit older, like the age I am now, watching it for the first time, because I think I would have appreciated it a lot more, because it really does capture, you know, exactly what the prequels set out to do, which was tell the story of Anakin Skywalker and how he becomes Darth Vader, and this movie just nailed it for me. So it's awesome. Alright, that's all I've got to say about Revenge of the Sith. Thank you so much for watching. Next week, please stay tuned. I will be back because we're going to be starting our journey into a newer trilogy of Star Wars films with The Force Awakens. Which means we're only like 3 weeks away from episode 9, or The Rise of Skywalker. It's so close. But Force Awakens next week. Holy crap. It's going to be awesome. Looking forward to it. Thank you for joining me. I've been Kendall Richardson, and you've just experienced non-scripted ramblings. May the Force be with you.